up, guys? Back here again for another edition of the Deadpool's Theory. Got a fun one for you today. Got some good topics here and some stuff that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and we've been tossing back some ideas. And this one's Justin and I are both Jman.
It's all right.
We gotta get on this name thing here. Both have a fun little time making fun of political correctness.
Jeez.
So we wanted to jump in here. A lot of stuff's been going on lately with the news. With I mean, I guess you're not allowed to say anything anymore because everyone's offended by everything. Yeah, that's not us at all.
No.
We're definitely not those kind of people. A lot of this talk has been sparked up recently because of the stuff with Roseanne Barr, where she went on Twitter and basically blatantly called I don't even know if this woman was black. I think she just said she looked like a monkey from a Planet of the Apes. Which, if you see a side-by-side picture of this woman and a Planet of the Apes lady, they look just alike. But like,
Probably not the right time to maybe say that in public, though. Maybe just keep that to yourself and your friends instead of like going on to.
The thing is, the lady, I don't even think the lady was black.
Really?
I think
I don't even know a lot about it. I just heard that. I just knew that the show came back, and then it was all of a sudden canceled because she said that, and then they like fired her, and I was like, oh, nice.
She said something about Muslims too, or something in the same tweet. But like, she's a comedian. She's a comedian. Like, and you know that'll get to the point. You know, with we watched that. You told me about that special, that Anthony Jeselnik guy.
Jeselnik, yeah.
He had a show, I guess, on Comedy Central for a while. It was like Offensive Jeselnik or something.
Yeah.
And like, he has a special on Netflix, and it's just like Thoughts and Prayers. Is it if you guys want to check it out?
The most unpolitically correct comedian and show ever. It's great.
He makes fun of everything. He makes fun of
and doesn't give a shit.
Pedophiles, rapists, dead babies, like just people getting eaten by sharks. Just
his
like
family dying.
His family
dramatic
dying.
ways.
His own family being pedophiles and rapists and alcoholics and drug addicts, and I don't think any of them are. He just puts them in jokes, and
he just does it because he thinks it's funny.
It's just funny. And that's the thing about comedy is like, I mean, I guess you could take it. You can only take it so far, but to me, I was thinking about it, but because I was like, man, political correctness would be a good topic to talk about because there's a lot of stuff going on where people are just chopping down the tree of you not being able to say anything anymore. I really can't think of anything that I'm seriously offended by.
Yeah. Like,
I get it why people are offended by certain stuff. Like, don't talk about school shootings. Don't talk about 9/11 right after it happened. Don't talk about, you know, rapes around people who have been raped. Like, I get it, but deep down in my sick, twisted brain, like, you can make a joke about anything.
Right.
Like, it is just, and I think the point of it being is like, it comes to the tragedy and comedy are like right here.
Yep.
And you know, a lot of times tragedy comes from comedy, and in opposite. You know, you talk about a guy like Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Who is just he's just like a pathetic specimen when he talks about his you know his comedy. He's like the word I'm thinking of. I
know, I'm thinking of it too, where you just shit on yourself and like
you're just self-loathing.
Self-loathing. That's it.
Self-loathing. Like, it's just that's the era of humor that we live in, where nowadays where a lot of the humor is very nihilistic. You got like Eric Andre. I just saw a thing on YouTube about him where they were talking about him where he was like awarded one of the best comedians by younger people because or just, you know, comic or sketch artist, whatever, because of how absurd and how ridiculous and random and
how far he pushes the envelope.
How far he pushes the randomness of his jokes and stuff. I mean, I could definitely say, you know, some of the funniest stuff to me is just random obscure nonsense,
absurd things. Yes.
Yeah, and that's just the humor, like, of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just can't, like, nowadays you just can't have. It's weird because it's a weird paradox because you can't have that sense. You can have that sense of humor, but if you do, it's like, don't make fun of dead babies, or you know what I mean, or don't say this or don't say that. And a lot of it also goes with, you know, don't make fun of women, don't make fun of races. Like, this stuff's been going on for years.
Yep.
For years. If you watch Chris Rock's stand-up stuff where he talks about Like he gets out there. I don't know which one it was, bigger or blacker, something or other. I think it's on Netflix. He comes out there and like the first joke he says is something like, "Oh shit, the white people in the back row tonight," and then right after that he goes, "Black people, we got some shit we got to talk about because we got some issues too."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Like that's just the way comedy is.
Yeah.
And to me personally, if that was taking it too far, there's a lot of people on the liberal left that talk mad shit on Donald Trump, that are in the media, that are celebrities, that are entertainers, that they shouldn't have jobs either. Because as far as I'm concerned, like, that show should not have been canceled because of that tweet. In my opinion, I think that was fucking ridiculous.
Right.
And to me, it's just, sometimes you can't be your own self and become, be your own personality and being your own, like I said, person when you're out and about and having fun with your friends, because you might say something that's offensive when maybe you're just being, maybe you're just
and the
joking.
thing is I think that's where, like with the Roseanne thing or whatever, like, if people are going to have their opinions on it, they're gonna say, hey, she shouldn't have said this, shouldn't have said that. If that's, you're gonna die.
I'm fucking
dude, you're gonna die. He's gonna die right here on camera. We'll have proof of it.
We're back
for his family. We'll show it at your funeral. That is totally politically correct.
That's how I want to go out.
So, drinking a Red Bull. What I was saying is, like, with that show and what she said, obviously, there is certain extents of making a joke, and there's certain extents of, the kind of the hint of seriousness to it, where it comes,
right.
where it's like, okay,
right.
Are you, like, there's a side of being, okay, this person's coming off mega racist, and then there's persons like, how Chris Rock was making the joke about white people, black people.
Yeah.
You can obviously tell a joke behind it. But if you're going to do it to where you just blatantly, fire somebody over that and cancel everything, like, just let the audience decide,
Yeah.
Let the audience decide, hey, I didn't like what you said, I'm not going to watch this show, and then eventually, if enough people do it, it'll probably just get canceled. But they just go to certain extents where they're just like, okay, just take it all away. Like,
so trial by, well, that's the issue that's going on, is trial by media, trial by the individual, because we have free speech. Like, Roseanne Barr didn't go to jail. She didn't get fined or anything.
Right.
They just fired her. They fired her from
Straight
her
up.
job,
Right.
and they were like, well, all these people that were on the show, they lost their jobs too because of what you had to say. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. To me, I grew up in the era. Like, some people don't know this about me, but I wrote jokes, and I did stand up maybe 3 or 4 times, around town here. I did it once in Columbia. Like, I came to the conclusion that I like doing improv more. And when you do an improv, sometimes you just say stuff. Like,
yeah.
You don't realize what you're saying. And
We've done it.
Yeah. You just speak, and you're like,
oh, shit.
Like, and that happens in improv. But, like, doing stand-up, you have your jokes set up. You know what you're going to do.
Right.
And I also think it has to do a lot with the towns you're in and in the places you go to, and how people are going to handle your jokes. I mean, if you're coming to a comedy show, like,
you should expect something.
You can't be soft, like,
right.
But I mean, the Twitterverse is crazy. Like, people say all kinds of ridiculous things, and
because they have the veil of the internet behind them.
Well, yeah, but when you have the celebrity, it's like you're put on this pedestal, and you're always being watched.
Right.
So, like, I could go on Twitter tomorrow and say the exact same thing that she said, and nothing would come from it. Maybe I'd get a couple hateful comments, or or people saying I'm being hateful or racist or whatever, and that's it. I go on with my life.
Right.
She loses her job, so she's under the scrutiny of that, and to me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But getting into more political correctness, there's just so much of it everywhere. Like, you can't say, like, you sometimes just being an actual man, like doing manly things, it's toxic. Like, it's toxic masculinity. You can't be a dude that wears a tank top and his muscles are popping out, and he's just right,
not,
and they're just acting like a dude, like a man, like,
right.
That's toxic. You're being a toxic man. You need to put a shirt on. Don't walk around without a shirt. Women can't walk around without shirts.
Right.
I'm just like, Whatever, man.
Right.
Whatever, man.
My big thing, I think, when it comes to anything, when it comes to people, judging somebody for what they say or saying, "Oh, that's too far," is people loving to take the moral high ground.
Yeah.
People love to say, "That's beneath me, so I'm going to tell you why these are a problem and this and that." And I'm like, I'm sorry, you're not the moral high ground police. You can't tell me this or that. Obviously there are things that go too far. There are things that, somebody might say and be like, okay, come on, like that's a little much. Mm-hmm. But I think the thinness of what can be said is very, very thin nowadays. Mm-hmm. Instead of being where it was, before, in the last, I would since the social media age, I think this has become a huge, huge issue. Before that time, you had, I mean, it's still around. You still have the South Parks and those kind of shows and things like that were pushing boundaries and doing things long before the, political correctness and things like that are still the issue. And thankfully, Matt Stone and Trey Parker are still holding that down and not giving a shit. But I mean, it comes to a point to where I think people started to realize it's like everybody had to take a moral high ground. Everybody was like, I'm going to show how better of a person I am because I would never say these things and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. And it's just the fact that people are just tight buttholes, man. They're in not a good way, not like a workaholics way. They're just so like built up with just I can't be affected by any of this, and I'm gonna get so sad if this person says it this way and you say it that. And like I'm sensitive to some things. If somebody says something to me the wrong way, yeah, I might pop off and get pissed off or something like that. But I know it's the people that can't judge a joke and can't judge seriousness. Mm-hmm. And there's that distance in between where it's like you can't, somebody might say it completely 100% trying to say, a joking manner, and you don't even know, you kind of have to think before you say it now because you don't know how that other person might take it. Right. And that's kind of the big disconnect when it comes to things like that.
There's also sarcasm too. It's like,
that's true.
I think sarcasm is a little like, overran. I think sarcasm is funny in the right moment, but if someone is sarcastic,
not overdone.
If someone's sarcastic
all the time,
it's almost not to the. It's not where it's obnoxious. It's almost like to the point where it's like they mean what they're saying.
Right.
So it's just like, yeah, you.
It's like, are you being sarcastic?
You look like you like to eat. No, for real. You look like you like chicken fingers a lot.
You fat fuck.
I do like chicken fingers. Thanks, man. All right, well, we're good. And then
end of conversation.
But then they would say something. If they'd say something again, be like, "Hey, guy, let me cram your fat face with more chicken fingers." Like that. Okay, that's not even sarcasm.
That's just straight. That's bold. That's just fuck you. Like this is what I think about you.
That's just being douchey.
That's just an ignorant thing to say. Damn it.
Maybe I said it wrong.
Who doesn't like chicken fingers, motherfucker?
Maybe I just don't understand sarcasm.
Could be, maybe. I don't know.
Do I not understand sarcasm?
I don't. Is that sarcastic?
Yeah. All right.
Wait, what?
We're back.
We're back. We're back here, guys.
But yeah, and to me, like the major issue is walking on eggshells. That to me is my personal issue. Like, I have my personality is like open my mouth and speak.
No filter, right?
No filter. Like people who are close to me know that I just most of the time, if I have an issue with something or somebody or something, I'll just say it.
I think both of us are the same way to where we have somewhat of a filter because we know when you're not. We know when there's when you're not supposed to say something. But I mean, we will literally be out in public and we'll give no shits. Like we will go to the mall and just fuck with people hardcore in stores and just mess with people. But we know when we will go too far, and I think there are people that will take it too far, and then those people just don't understand. They might just be retarded. But see, even right there, I could have just said retarded, and people could have just got super pissed off at all the things that I just said. And it's just, and that's not how it used to be. It did not used to be that way because obviously I am not saying that using that word or something like that, or saying any of these other words, or calling somebody like "way to go, you fag." Like I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like it's those kind of things. The disconnect is totally evident nowadays when it comes to that things like that, because you could have somebody come out of the woodworks and be like, my sister is lesbian and I don't like when you say things like that. Thanks, Captain High Ground. Just stay right up there and live in your moral heaven and fucking live above us all and rule the land.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the thoughts and prayers thing. Also with like doing that is good, because that Jesselnick guy said in his stand-up routine, he was like, hey, let's forget about what really happened. Hey, I'm over here. Think about me for a second. Thoughts and prayers are with you. What does the thoughts and prayers even do?
Yep.
Like, hey, don't forget about me. I'm here. I want attention. Yep. Like, I feel like I get it if you want to defend your sister or brother if they're, like, mentally challenged, or that you know they're gay, and like somebody says something that's offensive.
But if it's directly at you, it's the people that just come from the side and be like, well, I heard you say this, and I'm like, not even talking about you, didn't offend you, didn't mean to say anything about you, but you had to come in here and fucking claw it up into our conversation.
That's the way like language has evolved too, because if I say like, hey, this is retarded, or this is gay, or something like that, like, I'm not saying it to be offensive to anyone that's mentally challenged or anyone that's gay.
Right.
It's just a term that's coined as another word for lame, or you know, dumb, or something like well, dumb is maybe that's wrong, but lame, or you know, stupid. That's another one. That's maybe not a good one either.
We suck at trying to explain shit is what the problem is.
But you get what I'm saying. Like, it's just another coined term that, you know, over time, like, same thing with like cool, radical, tubular. Like, it's just words
everything
that
evolved and changed.
Yeah, it's just like the culture of the world and how the words were used. And I think the issue is people are like, they think the word is used derogatory towards the actual people specifically, and to me it's not like that. I don't have any issues with anybody specifically. I think people do dumb things. I think people over exaggerate. I think that people get stuck in lost ideologies, and they think that they're something when they're not, or something like that sometimes. But like, I'm not against anybody specifically or anything. I would definitely say I'm not a racist, like, at all. I wouldn't say I'm a fascist. I wouldn't say I'm misogynistic. I wouldn't say I hate women or anything like that. It's just like, jokes are jokes sometimes. Not only that, like, you can't have a civil discussion, because either people will say what you're saying is wrong, or they won't have a conversation at all because you said a word that they don't like.
Right.
Like, that's one of the major issues to me is, if there's an issue with something, let's sit down and let's have a conversation. Let's come to an agreement about what the issue is, figure out what's the problem, and then come to like a conclusion so we can figure out what the issue is, maybe come to a compromise, or you know, that people don't want to do that. They're like, you're wrong. Don't say this. Don't do this. And, you know, I'm going to stand up for this. And as long as you say that or say this, you're a racist. Like and in my opinion, comedy is a lost art form. It's becoming a lost art form because now it's like you have to really think about the structure of how, like, what you're going to joke about. Like the Jesselnick guy, his whole shtick is literally nonsensical, like not politically correct jokes, and that's the point of his whole shtick. He said something about the Boston bombers or something, marathon bombers. He said something about, like, he made a joke where he was like, literally the day of, he said, some jokes just don't cross the line. You can't cross the line, and some people in this race aren't either. And I was just like, listen, that's fucked up, but that joke is shit. That joke is funny. Like, and it's hard to just be like, oh man, because at the end, like, it is tragic, but at the same time, like, people are just gonna laugh, and you're like, man, am I a bad person because I laughed at this? Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe you just, some stuff is just funny.
There is different, and that's when I think it comes into, there is different senses of humor. There is people that are just like, you know, find average, ordinary network TV shows funny that I literally can sit through and be like, I want to fucking gouge my eyes out.
Yeah. Like,
I have to go to the furthest extents to find shows that I enjoy because of my type of, you know, humor and things like that. Right. And there's some people that just don't get it. Like, there's some people that just do not understand it, and, you know, and I think that's just that is more of the thing of people that can joke about things that are a little bit more serious, a little more edgy, a little more, you know, politically incorrect, or things like that, and people that just have to have safe jokes. People just have to have, like, haha studio audience type bullshit.
Right.
And that's just not our cup of tea. It's just not how it is, because I don't know. Maybe we're just fucked. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's the generation we grew up in. Coming up through the South Park and the Family Guy generation of all that kind of just messed up shit and those type of deals, and maybe not, or whatever the case is.
Well, and that's how it was with Roseanne Barr's show. It wasn't politically correct.
Right.
Like, she was a Trump supporter in the show, and she talked about being a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And then her sister was a Hillary supporter, and that was like the first episode. Not only that, the show Last Man Standing with what's his name? Guy that was in Tool Time. I can't think of his name.
Oh yeah, Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. He had a show called Last Man Standing. He was on for a couple seasons.
Did we say that Jeff Jarrett was pro wrestling's Tim Allen? Did we say that?
Yeah.
I died when he said that. That's so spot on.
But yeah, but yeah, it's just like that show got canceled, and it was like crapped on political correctness, crapped on liberal logic, and like it's like this whole ideology of like liberal and like leftist ideas is just like slowly taking over the media, slowly taking over like.
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily all. I mean, I think we're saying that only those kind of people can get offended by those things. Right. Because it's the same side with, super conservative people that get butthurt about a lot of things when it comes to, talking about America or talking about this or that or like all those kind of fucking things. And they have to stand their high ground on saying, fuck yeah, we're bleh, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think we're just kind of in the middle of that, of the there's different sides of, of one side where I can understand where it's
liberal
like
shows are not getting canceled like shows like Chelsea Lately and like other shows like that are like super shit on conservative Republican ideas. They're like in talking shit on Trump and his daughter and all kinds of stuff like that. Those shows aren't getting fired or people aren't getting fired and getting canceled, but like the shows that are like pushing conservative Republican ideas are getting fired. So like to me, like I feel like it's like a propaganda of the left that just like wants to come in here and be like, every group has an identity. They're their own identity, and everyone has to respect everybody's identity and opinions, and no one can say anything about anybody. Like then you lose the whole idea of the sovereignty of the individual, the individual as a person, who they are as a person. Like there's clearly white people out there that make fun of other white people for doing white people shit. Right. The same as black people. The same as whoever. Like,
well, I can say the same thing too, though, about the people that'll say, "Hey, don't say this. Don't say, hey, this is my brother's gay. Don't say that." I can also say the same thing about a hardcore religious person that won't take any thought to anything else besides what they believe and their thoughts of what they think. So they are very one-sided. That's what I was saying. The extreme sides of both sides are very stuck in their own way. Yeah. They're very stuck in the fact that, and I see what you're talking about with like media and things like that and how it comes into where people can't say shit. When it comes to at least political correctness, I see what you're saying. But like on both ends of it, there are sides where it's just you cannot get an idea passed. You cannot get a thought out that doesn't offend somebody in some certain form or fashion. Right. And that's just the world we live in, it's just how it is.
I was thinking about it. How many like sitcoms or TV shows currently that are out like really promote and push the ideas of like God and the Bible or like military American propaganda stuff? Like there's like none. Like there's like no shows where like
I think the ideas are there. I think there are. I wouldn't say that it's like this show is about this or whatever. I think there was like a show called The Good Book or some shit on CBS, which is like a sitcom about like religious people or some shit. Yeah, there is. I can look it up. I saw it and I was like, wow. Put me in a room with that and I'd kill myself. But yeah, I mean, I think that there are definitely ideas to both sides. I would say that there are, but I think it's also you can't turn away just TV. There's also movies.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I was going to say another thing too is like the incorporation of like having a gay person in every show now, having someone from every diversity, like a black guy, an Asian guy, or Asian woman, and then like if the lead role of a show or a movie is a white person, like everyone has a problem.
That's just like how they just came out with Ocean's 8 and it's an all women's all women's Ghostbusters, all women's this and that. And the thing is I think what it is it's the same Same problem with WWE that we talk about all the time is they take an idea and they push it to the furthest extent where people are like, wow, that seems pushy. That seems a little much. Where it's the fact that, women aren't paid as much in movies or aren't paid for the roles or whatever, or, you don't have the, minority type, lead roles or whatever and things like that.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't think that changing the idea of making it to where we push those certain things and we put people in those certain roles or whatever. It's just like Jordan Peele getting an opportunity to make a movie like Get Out and, having a time to shine or whatever, when you don't see a lot of, directors of his stature or directors of the things that he's done or whatever get an opportunity. So to see people actually get an opportunity is cool, but it's the like you said, the pushing of like, we have to have this be all women, we have to have this be, well, this is an biracial, this is an inter fucking racial, this is a bisexual fucking intergender tag team match, but like all, you know what I mean, where it's just like pushed to the furthest extent where it's like, wow, this is apparent they're trying to get across a message instead of just being like, well, I think we should give this person an opportunity because he's a great talent.
Yeah. Would it be okay? Because if you're talking about Get Out, would it be okay? I already know the answer to it, but would it be okay to make a reverse of that movie?
Would it be okay to where
the black guy was
it's
in the
called
white guy's role?
Mississippi Burning.
That?
It's called Mississippi Burning.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Yeah, there's tons of KKK movies and things like that. I mean, there's tons of. I mean, I get where you're saying where it's people
because that movie
control.
It's a good movie. It's a good horror movie. Like, it's good. That movie was clearly racist towards white people. Like, I'm sorry, it was.
They wanted. I mean, it
was. But I mean, I get.
How many shots have been on the other side though?
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like me and you, I don't feel like neither one of us have grown up in a truly ridiculously racist culture. No. When people say it's more racist now than it was 50 years ago, they're on crack.
Right.
Like,
that's
I never see racism ever from anybody. Like, so
not to say that it's not there.
Not to say it's not there, but I'm just saying, like, I don't see the racism.
Well, I think it's the same. It's the same thing that we were talking about, with like the NFL and people wanting to make a statement of something that they believe,
right?
Because it was an issue. That's the thing we've lived through it. Yeah. It was history, and whether he wanted to use that as a ground to kind of put his messages in through that movie or whatever, it happened, and we can't say ourselves because we haven't lived through somebody that really suffered through being oppressed against or anything like that. We are the highest margin level. We are young white men. Like, you know what I mean? We can't really say on our end because we honestly don't see, because we can't see in their shoes. But no, it is not nearly as a problem of racism, things like that it used to be, back in the 50s and 60s and things like that. There's no way. Absolutely. But I see what you're saying as far as, there are movies that way or shows or things like that where people want to get across the message.
I think the race card is an issue, and I think that's a huge issue with political correctness is white people are not allowed to say anything, but black people and people like Mexican people or Asian people don't say anything really. But I get this vibe like, because of what happened with slavery, black people I feel like they think they can just say whatever they want about white people being racist. Like, they had Jordan Peterson. He just did a debate a while back about political correctness, and he was on there, and he was debating. It was two people. It was Jordan Peterson and another guy versus this black guy named Michael Eric Dyson and another woman who was a feminist. And Michael Eric Dyson said that Jordan Peterson was a mean, angry white man. Now, if the role, and nothing came from it.
Right.
He didn't get fired. Nothing happened. Like, nobody.
You're saying if that was the other way.
If it was the other way around, if he said you're just a mean, angry black man,
right,
Jordan Peterson's career would be over.
Right.
He would be fired from his job. Like, to me, I think that to me, the political correctness of that is an issue, because if you're going to be held to that standard, you should be held to the same standards
on both.
On both sides. Like,
and that's the thing is it's just the fact that when it all comes down to it, we're never going to get along.
It's true.
We're never going to get along. It's the fact that any side. Everybody says how we're this great melting pot of all these people. Well, all these people are having mini civil wars all over the country, and it sucks because
all these states,
if I see somebody blatantly being sexist or racist or whatever the case may be to an extent, dude, I get outraged about it because it is ridiculous if I ever do see it, because I am one to stand up for people that, you know, maybe won't stand up for themselves. Or just are blatantly, for absolutely no reason besides the color of their skin or their choice on sexuality or whatever the case may be. Like, they're a human being. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, why? It's like, why do you have to treat somebody like that? We're all fucking humans. And I wish that people get a light and just click on people's minds that, like, we're all here. We're all going through our own individual problems and issues and things that we're trying to figure out in our own life. Why make it fucking harder and have everybody have issues with each other? Like, it's so fucking dumb, man. It just sucks because people can't realize it. You know, the one side, you can't get over the racism of what happened, you know, years and years ago, whether it be all the way through slavery or going through the times of like civil rights movements and things like that. Like, people can't get over the idea, like, well, my grandpa or great-grandpa had to go through this, and that's my family, and I'm affected by that or whatever, and I totally understand that. And then there's, you know, the other side of the coin where it's like, well, don't take everything so seriously when it's not meant to be serious, you know, because there are times when it's like, okay, this is bullshit, like when it comes to like some like police brutality things and things like that, where there are just legit racist cops in the world that just take their thoughts and their ideas into play and use it as a forceful thing. And then you have the problem of, you know, minorities and things like that taking their problem with, you know, police. And then we have like the Black Lives Matters and the fucking Blue Lives Matters and purple and fucking brown whatever the fuck. Yeah. It's just so dumb because everything where you try to say, okay, listen, this is, we're trying to bring it all together, they find another way to break off and branch off and find some other division where people are, you know, have a problem with every little thing that is said or done. Yeah. And it just sucks.
I'll finish with this. Like, my issue is if political correctness is there to make everyone equal and to, I guess not make everyone equal, but just don't say things that are offensive
to set the moral standard back to normal or whatever.
Yeah, for what everybody should or should not say. I think it should be equal all the way around. Yeah. I don't think you should be able to use a race card to make opinions about things or use that as a way to propel your ideas. I don't think that's right, regardless of whatever race you are. I think a lot of it is now people like us who are our age, we didn't grow up in that period in that time, and I think people see everything that's behind them and they don't see what's ahead of them. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't raised with a racist family. I wasn't raised around a bunch of racist people. Right. You weren't either. And there may be specific races that are told, you know what, white people are just going to be racist to you. And, like, that's not the case. Like, right. I think you have to give some people a fair shake. Like, regardless of your race or whatever, sexual orientation or gender or whatever. Like, I don't judge you according to your race or your any of that. I judge you as an individual person.
By your character.
And as a white person, and if a black guy comes at me and is like, you know, automatically, you have white privilege, you should have white guilt. Like, don't lump me in because I'm white. I'm an individual. Like,
judge you for who you are.
Judge me as a
person.
Right. Don't judge me as my group that I represent because of my skin.
Because you were born that way.
Right. And people could say that on the other side for black people. Yep. They could say that, like, you know, well, you don't judge me because of my skin. Yep. Like, I don't do that. I really don't. I have no issue with anybody.
And that's the problem because, like I said, it's a yin and yang because there is the issue.
It's when you become the group identity. That's the issue.
It's because there is this side where what am I trying to say? It's an ebb and flow kind of balance where there are people that judge people that way and they judge people just by color of their skin, sexual orientation, whatever it is, and there are people that judge people by a character of a person. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, purple, orange. It doesn't matter, or gay, straight, whatever. They judge you for the person that you are. Yeah. But there are just people that cannot get over any of those things, and they can't get over the fact that, well, that's how you are. that's how I'm going to label you.
Right.
That's how you are. That's how I'm going to label you. And that's where the disconnect, where we just nobody can
Yeah.
get fucking along.
Yeah, it'd be so awesome if we could just sit down as a nation and just have a conversation about these issues, because like not everyone's going to agree on something. That's the hardest part. It is the melting pot, you know. That's what America is. So I don't know, hopefully we got some stuff out here on this political correct conversation. We veered off into a couple of different ideas and different things, but
that's all right.
But we got the main idea of the issues and the things that we think we should be handled and talked about. So
speaking of things that piss us off,
right,
let's go ahead and talk about some of our individual and collective pet peeves of Mr. Jarvis and I. We're just continuing the notion of, let's continue to just shit on things that piss us off. Let's pop that list up that Mr. Jarvis thought about. He thought about this a little more extensively than I did. I honestly can't. Every time I think of like, oh, what's something that makes you mad, or what's something that really makes you tick, like I can't think of it unless it happens to me. Like
really?
I don't know. For some reason I can't like. I can think of things that I enjoy. I can think of things that like make me happy for some reason more than that pisses me off. I guess that's good. I guess that's a good thing. I guess it's good to not sit there and think, what really makes you boil or whatever. But, I mean, for the most part, it takes a little bit. I mean, I don't know. There are some things when you catch me on a certain day and you could literally probably say anything and I'll be like, fuck you. But I mean, I think everybody has that day.
Right.
But for the most part, if I'm having a good day, it's going to be kind of hard to piss me off. Or it's going to be hard to kind of make me tick and be like, oh, God damn it. Like, come on.
Right.
But there are little things. And I know Jarvis wrote down some, so we'll hear some of his little thingies here.
Okay, parents letting their kids throw tantrums in public.
Oh, God.
So, like, here's the thing, okay? Like, if your kid starts crying in public, like, I get it. Sometimes they're just acting out. They want attention. Whatever. It's not your job to fucking ignore them.
Are we right? Are we talking, like, kids? Or are we talking, like younger kids? Like, are we talking, like, from the ages of, like, infants to, like, 4?
I wouldn't say babies.
We're talking, like...
I would say...
We're talking, like, 7 to 13 or whatever.
Well... I mean, a wide range. Okay. I would say, like...
Because I would say definitely with infants and babies, it's shitty parenting, for one.
From, like, 4 to, like, 10 or 12.
Well, I guess it all revolves around shitty parenting. I guess that's
from, like, 4 to, like, 10 to 12.
Okay.
Or, like, a lot of the crying, like, throwing a tantrum, a lot of that...
I want Skittles.
I want some Skittles.
I want some Skittles, Ma. Fuck you, boy. You had the McDonald's earlier. You can't have Skittles.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
That's real life, though.
Dude, so real life.
I've been a part of that situation.
I've seen it.
I have a 12-year-old brother. And
I worked at a grocery store. I fucking saw it, bro. Like, dude, every Saturday when their families would get out and some kid would be like, Mom, I want a Snickers. Shut your fat fucking face, you piece of shit. I'm not getting a Snickers.
I feel like that's exaggerated a little bit.
It is a little, all right? I wanted to make it sound funnier, all right? But, dude, oh my God, so true.
Oh, man. Yeah, so that to me is just, oh, man. Like, if they cry for longer than 15 seconds, you're a shitty parent.
Okay, I'm slowly realizing things that start to piss me off now, so now I'm kind of getting to it. Because another facet of that is if you, like, bring your kids over or whatever and you have, like, a get-together at a party or some shit, and let them just run wild and not control them and not be like, okay,
parents who just don't control their kids. Yeah,
right. Listen, you're in somebody else's house. You need to respect that instead of just coming in here like a fucking retard and just throwing it political correctness. Watch out. Coming around and just fucking everything up. Everything that you run into is just a mess. And they'll be like, Johnny, stop doing that. Like, that shit's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like,
go snag them up and swat them on the ass. And that's another political correct thing.
God, can't do that.
Can't swat your kid in public. Can't swat them on the ass and tell them to stop.
That's going to hurt them emotionally for the next 45 years.
Doubtful.
Eat a dick.
Yeah. This one's a big one because this bothers the shit out of me. I love farting.
Yeah.
But I do not like people who are farting while we're eating at the dinner table.
So you just gave me an idea the next time we go to dinner.
I will punch you in the dick.
I should have farted on your fucking General Tso's chicken when we went to the Chinese buffet the other day.
I know, that would have been shitty. Yeah, that bugs the shit out of me. Like, especially if I'm sitting in a restaurant or I'm sitting at a dinner table.
What about belching? Like, overtly, like, obnoxiously doing that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
That's fucking obnoxious, too.
That's super obnoxious.
Right.
Like, but, like, if you're just like, like while we're eating, just right next to me while I'm eating, like I will lose my appetite and I will be very upset.
It's true.
Like, that bothers the shit out of me. Oh god, this one's a personal one, but I know it doesn't affect a lot of people, but it just fucking bugs me.
Yeah.
When I see people with dirty fingernails, oh god, it irks me, dude.
Yeah.
That irks me so hard.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh god, those are so gross.
Going alongside that, people that do not take any hygiene, anything.
No hygiene.
Like people that just do not give a shit
Just
about
smell like
being
ass
around
all day.
you, that just do not take showers, that are just like BO all the time, don't put on deodorant, don't brush their teeth, like, and they come around like, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm like, fuck you, get out of my face.
You
like,
were ranking it up, dude.
You are smelling like shit right now.
Right. Dude, this one's kind of silly, but when people make hawking noises when they're about to spit loogies.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus. And then, like, spit a loogie right on the ground right next to you.
Oh, God, I'm so guilty of that.
Oh, it's gross.
Problem is I do that. I do the hawking noise. But the problem is I feel like I've, like, Pavlov's dogs or Pavlov's. What am I trying to say?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Like Freudian theater, dude. Fucking, I'm retarded. Freud's couch. My dad used to dip, like tobacco or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he would spit or whatever. So when I was young, I would used to try to be like my dad and be like, why is he spitting all the time? So I just like, when I was like 5 years old, dude, you could ask anybody. They're like, yeah, I would do that because my dad did it. So I was, just following after my dad.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't follow after my dad and do that nasty ass shit. I ended up so many times I would throw that shit down the toilet and like, stop doing that nasty shit. You're not gonna have a fucking bottom jaw. But yeah, I would like to, but yeah, I'm kind of guilty of the hawking of the lugs.
Oh, God.
Sometimes you just have something in your throat, man. You gotta get it out.
I mean, hawk it up, but I mean...
Hawk it up. Don't spit right in front of me.
Don't spit the lug right on the floor in front of me.
That's
Outside.
true.
I mean, if you're outside, I get it, but, like, dude, that's fucking gross, dude. I don't like it.
True, dog.
Oh, God. Lazy waiters and waitresses. Because here's the thing. I've always had an issue with this. Not always, but just as of recently, because I waited tables for about a year.
I was going to say, you've worked in the food industry.
Waiters and waitresses should never feel obligated not obligated. Maybe that's not the right word. They should never feel
deserving
of a tip, no matter what. And I think
regardless of how good they are.
Right. And I feel like that's an issue I've seen in waiting tables, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, is they feel like entitled to like, hey, you're gonna tip me because I'm having you your food. I only get paid $3.50 an hour, so you better pay. You better tip up, bitch. You better give me my tip, regardless of how good or bad I am. Fuck that, dude.
Yeah.
You know what? Waiting tables is one of the only jobs where you literally get the money from the source. Yeah. You're not getting it from the job. So depending on how good you do your job,
right,
you get tipped better. Like I've been known to be a very generous tipper if the waitress is good. You should not feel entitled. Like when it comes to waiting tables, because it's like you have to be personable, you have to be efficient, you have to the orders have to be right. Like that's your job. And you are literally working for the person you're literally handing the food for.
Right.
Like you're getting paid by the company, but the way you're going to make the money is from the person you're right in front of.
Your service.
And you have to be personable. If you walk up to my table and you're like,
hey, welcome to pizza.
What do you want?
What do you guys want to drink?
Or I ask you twice for a straw.
Or you're like, you could obviously tell they're like not paying attention, or they don't give a shit. They're just like,
yeah,
one of those deals.
Yeah, that really.
It's a weird paradox though, because I want good service, but I don't want clingy service.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody there every 45 seconds.
Oh yeah.
To be like, do you need a water when it's like literally 3/4 fill? No, I'm good, dude.
I had a debate with someone recently about this. Someone posted a thing online where it was like they put a picture of like 5 $1 bills like sitting on a table, and like the waitress saw them, and then like when she would mess up, they would take $1 away, and then like she would do good again, he'd put the $1 back, and then like if she got messing up, they would just keep losing dollars. I was thinking that's a little degrading.
Yeah.
But like the guy said in the post, he's like, I got the best service I've ever had in my life. Which I mean, it's $5. Like I wouldn't do it.
That's a little far.
I wouldn't do that, and I've seen people
do it mentally.
Yeah,
maybe do it mentally.
Yeah,
don't put it out on the fucking table like, hey bitch, see this? That's your worth.
Yeah.
Like, too much.
Yeah,
too fucking much.
Yeah, I agree.
Do it mentally. Do it with the person you're sitting with. Be like, they're at 4 right now. They're at 5 right now. Don't literally put it right here like it's your life. Like, I'm going to fucking kill you if this gets to $0 or something like that.
Well, and you should never go into a restaurant, like, reviewing and paying attention to the server the whole time. Like, you'll know. Like,
those are the douchiest people, like, that would do that shit.
You'll know, like, if they're doing a good job or they're doing a bad job. Like, I just... most of the time when I go to a restaurant, I'm mostly not there for the service. I'm there for the food. But, like, if you want that money from me, that extra money on top of the food that I'm already paying overpriced for, probably.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just going to hand you money. It's like I'm handing a bum money on the street.
Right.
You're like, okay, well, I'm entitled to this money, and if you hand a bum $5 on the street, he's either going to be like, oh, I really need this because I want to buy some food, or, oh, I might buy meth.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying that waiters do that, but, like, you shouldn't feel, like, entitled to, would you just give $5 to every server ever just because?
It's anything with tipping, too. I kind of reluctantly tipped a lady that I went and got my hair cut. I just had to get, like, a quick thing done or whatever, and I went to somebody that I don't normally go to. Just mad hardcore on the back part of my head, just gave me like mad razor burn. Like, just dug into my head with a fucking razor. And at the time I was like, that felt a little pushy. But like I usually tip anybody, honestly. Like you were saying, I'm kind of like realizing now, like I probably shouldn't as much maybe when it comes to some things, which I do kind of temper it off. Like if somebody's really shitty, I'm like, I still tip, but I just don't to the extent that I normally would. It seems
a little cynical, but...
But I went there and I tipped, and then I got back home, and I'm like, dude, my neck is killing me. Like, for 2 days, my neck was like... I'm like, can I have my $5 back that I tipped you? Because you suck cock at cutting people's hair.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
That's real life. Yeah, man, that's one thing that bothers me a lot. Being interrupted by someone when you're having a conversation with someone else. So, like, if you're a one-on-one having a conversation with someone and they literally step in...
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, they
do
like,
one of those.
Hey! Ha, 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 ha.
Did you guys see that movie about this and that?
I
like turtles.
I like Panda Express, too. I like this shrimp.
Yeah, man. Did you guys ever try that orange chicken? It's the shit, bro.
Hey, stand over here. I'll talk to you next.
Yeah, right.
Get out of my way.
Get in the line of conversation. Bitch.
Yeah, that. Oh man,
that's true.
Dudes who like rev up their trucks and cars in front of people.
God, that's
obnoxious, dude.
Uber douche.
Just, you got here, let her hit me. My favorite is when you're outside and the people drive by and literally there's always one person. They're like, your dick's small. You got a small dick.
Right.
It's so funny. Jesus. People who don't hold open doors for people.
Yeah.
Like, I always hold open doors for people. Like,
especially like elderly people.
Or like yeah, for sure. And this one, right, the last one. Oh, this one's my biggest pet peeve of all time.
Dude, don't go into my bathroom in the morning.
No, it's not that one.
Oh shit, I thought it was that one. I thought it was the toothpaste one. I was like, damn, that's your number one?
No,
like, shit, bro, just turn the faucet on and clean that shit.
Toothpaste in the sink does bug me.
That's true.
You spit your toothpaste in the sink and you just
leave it there. It
annoys
the shit out of my wife. My dad does it all the time.
Man.
It's so funny.
But this one's my one that kills me.
It's here, dog.
When I ask for extra something on something,
you better give it
You better put the extra on that shit. If I say, hey, I want extra cheese on this, you better hook a brother up. Or I'm going to fuck your world up, son. Don't come at me with that fucking, here, we'll just put a couple little more pieces. Bullshit, Chipotle. You better hook me up. I'm asking for extra
don't
cheese.
Mean a little.
I want some extra on this bitch.
Right.
If I go get an ice cream cone and I'm like, hey, I want fudge on this, but I want extra fudge. What I'm trying to say is I want to just eat some fudge. With just a little
bit fudge with a side of ice cream, bitch.
You just put a little dollop of ice cream on top of that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I want to get tacos and I want a shit ton of sour cream, I say, can I have some extra sour cream? Sure. If I go to Taco Bell, anything like that, or go to Jack in the Box, you get Jack in the Box tacos.
Yeah.
I say, hey, I literally have to be specific. I want 12 ranch cups. That's way too much ranch cups. But I want every piece of my taco covered in ranch. The whole fucking taco.
Right.
So
true.
That shit bugs me.
Yeah.
A lot. And the tipping one is a big one for me.
Yeah.
But
mine are kind of like I said, I haven't really thought of any. I'm trying to think of some. Like there's like the little things that are kind of branching off of his. A couple of my big ones are entitled people
Yeah.
annoy the shit out of me. People that just feel like they're just...
Should be handed stuff.
I help people all the time. I work at a bank, and I work in kind of a snobby kind of area. So we'll have like 18-year-old kids that come in and be like, hey, I want to cash my check. And I'll be like, hey, your fucking account is overdrawn $30, so no. Why don't we try to be a little more responsible? I mean, I'm not saying this to them. I'm saying it in my head. I'll be like, let's be a little more responsible. We actually have to deposit this into your account because we cannot give out the cash because you literally are overdrawn. Oh, I'm 18 years old. I just turned this, and I work hard for my money. All this fucking bullshit. And it's just with anything. I mean, it's people that just feel like they're better than everyone else. That's one of my huge things, is people that just think that because, you know, they have more money or they have a bigger house or they have a nicer car or they this or that or whatever, you know, they just feel like they're better than somebody else. And that kind of goes back to just judging a book by its cover or something, you know, judging somebody by, you know, their appearance or this or that or whatever the case is. Like, just fuck off.
Fake
like,
people. That bugs me too. Fake
people.
Dude,
yeah, that's really
just
irritating.
Act in a certain way to be like, I have a lot of money. Look at all my cool shit. I'm gonna show it all off.
Right. And then another thing is, oh god damn, what is the word? Unappreciative people. That irritates the shit out of me too. People that just are obviously, you know, either hated something or just done something really, you know, good to them or whatever, and they're just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
I've
really?
subconsciously been unappreciative before. Like, I've caught myself being unappreciative, like, multiple times. Like, somebody would bring, like, brownies into my work, and I would just say something like, oh, you didn't bring any milk? And then catch myself.
Right? You're like, oh, that's kind of a dick move.
I'm like, I wish I had some milk. I should be more appreciative that there's just brownies here.
Thanks for bringing the brownies, bro.
Free brownies.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of the, like, those are like really big bulk things, but I can't think of any like narrowed down ones. I would have to like go through a whole week and be like, oh, that really fucking pissed me off when somebody did that or whatever. But yeah, going off on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's more. I'm sure there's more.
Oh yeah,
those are.
If we sat here for like a month straight and like went through our lives and been like, oh god, why did that person do that? That's super annoying. But yeah, so there's things like that. But I didn't really think about that. That was I failed on that one for you, bro.
It's
I failed
okay.
that topic.
You bounced off some ideas, and
I did. I worked off.
This show is very improv.
Very much.
That's how we literally. I wanted to say this like the beginning of the show, like the amount of literal time we go through to like set up stuff is not very high. Like we don't take a lot of time. I think a lot of this, what makes this good for us and like people listening and specifically is we really don't have anything like a lot of stuff planned out. We have a little general idea of what we want to say.
Yeah, we have topics and we go from there. And the only difference of it being any other everyday conversation between the two of us is the fact we have lights on and a camera on right now. It's just a conversation is all. Literally, it's just that's how we built this show around.
I would not have this Red Bull and I would not have literally died about 30
minutes. Yeah, right. Just choking on a Red Bull.
Right.
True. Last topic up that we're going to be discussing here, we're kind of bringing back the heaviness, is kind of a general discussion on, like depression, anxiety, and really the big thing is suicide and suicide rates that are continuing to skyrocket. We had two really big known celebrity deaths over the last week. We had Kate Spade, which is a big designer name obviously, and then Anthony Bourdain, who is the famous chef and TV host and everything. He does this stuff on CNN. Obviously had two huge ones that really affected me personally in the music world wise, which was Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington last year. I believe it was last year. That obviously hit really hard to me personally. And I think a lot of this, it's you can't really say like, well, this is a reasoning or this or that. Obviously, you can't get inside the mind of a person.
Right.
You cannot say, on the outside they looked to be fine, and they had this and that, and they had a loving family, and how could they turn their backs on a lot of things that people are calling, to me, I think it's crazy, and it really kind of pisses, and I don't want to say pisses me off, but it really kind of just rubs me the wrong way when these people come out here and be like, how can he do that to his family? He's such a coward. Yeah. When people call people that suffer from this stuff, they call them cowards, and I'm like, you're just unknowledge to the fact that you don't realize what people are going through.
Yeah.
You don't realize how big of a weight depression and how big of an issue anxiety and things like that really kind of spiral down into people taking their own lives. People don't realize how much that affects people and how much it weighs them down to the point to where, yes, people are taking their own lives that have, Chester Bennington had like 6 kids, a loving wife, had an amazing career, and you just start to think like, how could he turn that? Because his demons and because the things that have an everyday struggle for him weighed him down so much that he just couldn't deal with it anymore. And it's mind-blowing to think that people can turn on things that are so amazing in their life, especially these people that are, in the limelight, with people in music and that have all the fame and fortune and things like that. And it really revolves around the fact that, money and fame can't buy happiness.
That's true.
It cannot buy the internal peace that you have with yourself, to say that, I love myself, I'm happy where I am at in life. And they have to go out there and almost put on a mask and a facade out to the public, where, you hear like, it seems like almost on every occasion you hear a lot of these celebrity, deaths and suicides and things like that. You hear, well, I never saw this coming, or I never could have imagined this in a million years of seeing this happening. And, it all revolves around back to you just cannot see what is happening to somebody inside, and they have to put that facade out because they're representing themselves to, it's their job to go out there and support themselves like that.
What do you think is the reason why people just won't go talk to people about these issues?
I think it's a lot of reasons. I think that,
guilt, shame, stuff like that.
Yeah, it could be guilt, shame. It could be embarrassment.
Yeah.
It could be the fact that they just don't want to delve into things that they think that it might get worse. I think. Me personally, I've struggled with anxiety issues and things like that, and probably some, undealt with depression issues and things like that. Over the years and stuff that I probably was too young to even realize, where I would go get a checkup or something like that and be like, well, have you I was having issues with my anxiety or whatever, and I would go get a checkup and say, well, have you ever suffered or dealt with depression? And I was like, what the hell does that have to do with it? I'm just really jittery and I'm really this and that, and you don't realize what's going on mentally and what's going on chemically in your own mind.
Right.
and how maybe one minor thing, which kind of happened with me, not really like one thing, but it was like a series of little things that turned into a snowball effect that now chemically in my own head, I have to deal with things a certain way myself, to get through the day to where I'm not dreading something going wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I'm not having to think like, if I didn't do this right, something bad is going to happen. And that is a problem that a lot of people in the world have. And it's not easy to say like, well, I have a broken arm. I'm going to go get this done. I'm going to wear a cast for a couple months and then it'll be better. Like there's
you can't
not
put a cast on your brain.
You can't put a cast on thoughts and emotions and chemical imbalances that are going on and things like that. It's not an easy fix, and it's not easy to the outside eye.
Yeah.
And that's what frustrates me because, I can say like, oh, I deal with anxiety or I deal with those issues and things like that. And it is just as painful as broken bones. Mm-hmm. It is just as painful as, anything that people can suffer with that is visually seen. And it's really frustrating because you can't get your point across sometimes to people that you don't realize like, no, it's not.
They don't know how you feel. Yeah.
Right. You can't be like, feel the way I feel right now. If I could transfer this to you, then you'll realize what I'm talking about.
Right.
You'll realize the true emotions and the things that I'm going through, because it's not like as simple as saying, hey, I fell off a tree and I broke my arm. Ooh, shit, that hurts. I can't be like, well, I did this one thing one time and a snowball effect happened, and now I have issues with like a lot of facets of my life that make it to where it dictates how my day goes,
right.
And on an everyday basis, and it makes it a struggle. And I think that people that go to the extent of taking their own lives, it's a fact of people, like you said, maybe not going to get the right help and not finding the people that love and support them, because a lot of these people that are coming up, the the major celebrity deaths and things like that, they have loving families, they have the friends and family and all the fame and fortune and everything that anybody could ever ask for, but it just shows how powerful and how dominating of depression and anxiety and those issues are on somebody that they can go to those extents.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. Like I said, I've never really had depression. I've been depressed. I've been anxious. I don't have anxiety.
Right.
I overthink. I overthink situations. I sometimes when I go into where I'm going to a situation where I think that I overthink or overplay a situation in my head because I want it to be right or I want it to come off right, and then I don't say the right thing, and then I'm like, I didn't say the right thing. I fucked up here. Well, I should have said this, and then I'll think about it for weeks. I'm just like, oh no, why did I say this, or why did I do this, or mistakes I've made, or being naive and when you're younger and making mistakes you don't realize you're doing. Like, that stuff sits in the back of your brain, and then you think about it and you think about it, and if you don't let it go, or you try to let it go, or you try to find something to get your mind off of those things, like that stuff will eat you alive, and it'll drive you crazy. Like, I have personal experience with that stuff specifically. However, I get the reason, and I get the coward argument. Like, I get why people say it, because you're taking away your own pain, but you're really hurting the people that are closest to you.
It's true.
And funerals are not for the person that's dead. They're for the people that are you left behind. They're there for the remembrance of you, because the funeral is not for you specifically. The funeral is for your friends and family that were close to you, and that's tough. Like, I never had anybody really, really close to me die, or really close to me, like, have a cancer or AIDS. I know, right? And not only that, but like, I've known people through association, and I've known people that were like friends here and there that have like OD'd, or like, or somebody who did commit suicide. I knew somebody I worked with who hung himself like a couple years ago. Like, I knew him as a person. I had one-on-one conversations with him for like periods of time where it's like, do you think that is there something wrong with this person? Would you ever know? You know what I mean? And that's an issue. Like, it's hard because you as a human being, you're dealing with your own issues, and you want to help and take on the burden of somebody else. But I think that's one of the major issues is everybody's dealing with their own shit, and people don't want to like be like, this person can't help me because they got their own problems.
Right.
There's that phrase, make sure you always check up on your strong friend, the person who's always checking up on everybody else. Because at the end of the day, if they're always giving support and no one's supporting them, they could be the ones that just, you'd find out, the next day that they killed themselves and you had no idea. So that's a thing. Like, it's hard because you not all the time can you use your intuition as a human being to know if something's wrong with someone, because they won't always tell you. You know what I mean? But without thinking or knowing that something's wrong, sometimes you should just be like, hey man, you good? Like, hey, if someone's close to you, hey man, is everything good? Are you cool? Like,
right.
You want to talk about something? Sometimes people will say something, sometimes they won't, and that's tough. That's tough because I've had friends that have been suicidal that I've had conversations with, that have had their life was falling apart, and they were just like, well, if this and this happens, or this and this happens, I'm just gonna kill myself. I'm like, dude, don't. Why? Like, at the end of the day, like, to me, sometimes it's scary because when you think about it, you're like, this person's just saying this because they're upset or they want the attention or something. But you have to think about it like, shit, this person could really just kill themselves, and then you just be sitting there like, oh damn,
could have did something.
Damn, like, you just told him to suck it up, So it's a tough thing to talk about, and really to comprehend with another person that isn't feeling the same as you. Specifically because we were talking about the rates of how they've gone up. It was like from like 2016 to 2018, suicides have increased like 30% in like 25 of the states.
That's scary.
In 2 years, like 30% increase in suicides.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a scary thing, man. Like, it was the video I just saw was like, it's the 10th most
Form of death.
Yeah, form of death in the United States.
It's scary.
So it's just it's crazy that it's come to that, and I don't know, man. Like, I can't say that I've ever been truly like suicidal or had real hardcore suicidal thoughts, like I really wanted to kill myself or anything like that. I've never had those feelings or anything, so I can't comprehend with another person that's been in that position. It's hard. I don't know.
Yeah, and going back to the thing, I know you were talking about how, go get the help or go do this and that, because I cannot say to myself, like, I've had really bad days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ever say that I ever thought of, hurting myself, because everything pulls back, and it's the thought of what you were talking about is like, there are too many things that I love in this world, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard because there are people that mentally they cannot find that love.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot find that, and how we were talking about how people are, saying how people are cowards that commit suicide and things like that. It's like, they might not be cowards. They just might be. They might not be able to have that click in their mind go off that there is too much to live for.
Mm-hmm.
There is family and friends, and there is
Right.
people that love me so much. And thankfully, any day that I am having a bad day, or to this extent of, I'm not feeling 100%, I'm not having a good day where I want to be around anybody, or I just want to kind of chill, that what's good is the things that I go to are the people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Even this past Saturday, I wasn't having a depressed day, but I was having a day where I just didn't want to be around, some of the people that I was around. I just wasn't being in a social kind of mood or whatever. And I called Jarvis up and I was like, hey, dude, do you just want to go see a movie or something? And not that I didn't want to be, because it involved, obviously what I was around was a big group of people that was having a big party that involved my wife's sister or whatever. My wife is there. I knew she couldn't leave, because obviously that would be the one I would go do stuff with, because I'd be like, hey, do you just want to bolt out of here? Well, she kind of can't do that because it's kind of her family. It's my family too, obviously. I can't say that it's not my family, but it's more directly hers. And she knew, and that's why I love her so much, and why she understands me, is the fact that she knew I was having an off day.
Yeah.
And she knew I needed to go see my bro. I needed to go see my buddy, and we needed to go do our thing or whatever. And it helped. And anything like that, I'm able to have that connection with people that I love,
Mm-hmm.
and people that I have a connection with to get around them and focus around, my wife and my parents or my friends or family or whatever the case is. My new awesome cat, anything that I have a deep love for, and to get around them and to realize that nothing can ever, come to me that is going to say, I want to ever give up any of this stuff.
Right.
But I think that there are people out there that cannot even find that. And that is mind-boggling, because that those people that are turning their back on, their whole family and their whole life and friends and loved ones and wives or husbands or kids or whatever the case is, they love them immensely, obviously.
Yeah.
But they do not love how much pain they are in, and they do not love having to suffer with that. And yes, there are ways to go help that, but there are some times where things just cannot help, and you're just in so. And I'm not saying that that's what you have to do. Like that obviously not. No, you should try and find more help. You can't just say like, well, that didn't work. Mm-hmm. Like, so this is the extent that I'm going to go to. No, because obviously that should never be the extent that you go to. You should try and find another route, whether it be talking to somebody else, or whether it be getting around and opening up. Mm-hmm. But that's a hard thing to do. It is a very hard thing to go out there and just pour your entire, thoughts and emotions and things out to people that, out to a psychologist or somebody that doesn't know you. But I think that's the big thing, is get around people that know you, and not be ashamed to say, hey, I am struggling really, really bad with this problem. And
you need to make it okay for people to come to you and be like, okay, I have a real issue.
Right.
Yeah, because that to me, I think, is one of the biggest issues with it, is I think the guilt and the shame that comes from it. Telling somebody that you really, that really cares about you and you really care about them.
Right.
I'm suicidal. Like, I want to kill myself. Like, and I think that, and sometimes, a lot of times with these people, they don't leave notes, and you're just like, what do you like? It maybe just make it worse. I feel like I'm kind of one of those people that just like, I'm trying to always seek the truth. Like, I want to know, maybe not the 100% truth of everything, but like my own truth. Like, you know what I mean? And that to me is difficult, because if someone close to me killed themselves and they gave no explanation out of nowhere, I had no idea, like, that would be tough. Like, that'd be tough to be like, dude, what happened? Like, then you think about it, you're like, what happened? What?
Right.
Where
You're trying to think. Wrong? Yeah, you're trying to think back of like times when it was like, why? What is going on here?
Right, and it's so difficult because you just don't know. Like, and I don't know, man. What can we do? For our country to make this better? Like, can we open up more like clinic? People for clinics, like areas, places for people to go that are in this mode.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I don't know, because I mean, they always preach about the suicide prevention line and, and things like that, or places you can go to. You can go see, certain doctors or psychologists or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just so hard because, like I said, it's not a to the naked eye thing. It's not you look at somebody and you're like, oh, that person's struggling really, really badly today. Because I think when it comes to me is, I don't think that I want people that I'm trying to make people, because it's really hard.
You kind of not want people to feel bad for you also, maybe.
I think there's people that are like that as well, because maybe you don't, or maybe you just don't, people don't think that it's as serious as it actually is.
Yeah.
Until there's a day where
people don't take you serious. Yeah.
Yeah, where it gets really, really bad, and that's the day that you find out something terrible happened. So I mean, I think there's a lot of things where you're trying to mask a problem ends up just doubling the issue. It's just like sweeping dirt under the rug. You know what I mean? And I think people having to go out in the everyday world and have to put it's just like how you go to work and be like, well, leave all your problems behind. Yeah. Well, that's easier said than done a lot of the times. Yeah. You can't just leave all your problems behind because you're carrying it with you. You can't just drop that shit off and be like, oh, I'll come back to you when I get home at 6. Like, it's just with you.
Yeah. Your child, like, I think a lot of it has to do with childhood. I think if you have it just depends. If you have a fucked up childhood, you had a neglectful childhood, abusive, you saw things you shouldn't have seen, things happened to you specifically, and that shit, it mentally sticks with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like, unless you go to a doctor and figure out what is happening, what is wrong with you, like...
Or just open up in general. Doesn't have to be a doctor, just be it to a loved one. Or somebody that will understand you and that will say, hey, I'm going to help you. Because that's the thing, like we were talking about. People don't want to take the burden of somebody else's issues. And I think people that are struggling with that, they think that they don't want to. But there are so many people that are loved ones and things like that will say, hey, I will carry this along with you. And I think having that support from somebody else, knowing what you're going through and really, really knowing. Because there's a difference between, like I said, like knowing and really understanding what somebody's going through. Once you get to the really understanding point, I think that there is a kind of a sigh of relief for the person that is suffering through something, to say that, hey, somebody's by my side, somebody's going to help me. And these people that have people by their side, they're just not using them as a resource to help them out. And whether it be taking them to a doctor to get on something or medications or to talk to somebody or get issues out or whatever.
You said medications. Have you seen any of the studies that they've done on like psilocybin mushrooms at all?
I have not.
Like, I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast and he talks.
Of course, he was talking about shrooms.
I know, right? He was talking about shrooms and he was just talking about like people like who are dealing with cancer, who are dying. They're taking like shrooms and stuff like that, and they're like helping them accept death and be okay with it. And there's a lot of studies that are happening right now where people are taking mushrooms and they're having like spiritual experiences or just like profound experiences where it takes them like into their own head and it like helps them discover and realize what the root of the issue, that the problem is. He was like saying how he had a buddy of his do mushrooms, and like he freaked out for like, or it was DMT or something, and he freaked out for like a half hour, and like he finally chilled out, and he was still tripping, and then they asked him later like what was going on in that 30 minutes, and he was just like, well, I relived my childbirth, and I had the cord wrapped around my neck, and I was literally dying. And I was just like, what the hell?
Wow.
He's like, it went back that far?
Drugs are bad.
So like he's like, yeah, I was being strangled by my own umbilical cord, and was literally, he thought he was going to die as a baby.
Fucked.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's deep. Like, that's deep in your head.
Yeah.
And then after that, the dude was like, he said it was one of the most like incredible experiences of his life. It like helped him. He was so much happier afterwards. It helped him figure out stuff. And there's like a lot of cases of this happening. Like a lot. They're like testing it in like different countries because it's still legal here. They're testing it in other countries for people with like psychological issues. Like
they're trying to say that maybe it's connecting to something in their
brain.
chemically in their brain.
People who are like schizophrenic, it's like helping them and stuff.
Oh,
it's
shit.
like,
that's really strange.
People with like cancer, it's like helping them like chemo and shit. It's crazy. So like it's been a thing where psychedelics have kind of been shunned upon for a long time, and now they're finding research that's helping people like mentally figure out their issues. Like Joe Rogan talked about taking it, and he just said he's not every time, but several times he had saw profound experiences where it just like took him to a place and time in his life, like in his own head, where something was wrong, something happened to him, and it just made him understand that issue and then fixed it. And to fix it, it just was like helped him realize the issue.
Cope with it or something?
Helped him cope with it and just be like, this is the issue, this is why this happens. And afterwards, he just like, it just goes away forever. He doesn't think that he's like, never thinks about it again.
That's strange.
Just like eradicates it from his brain. I'm just
That's
like,
strange.
That's strange.
Wow.
So, I mean, maybe testing psilocybin mushrooms or shrooms or whatever on people who are suicidal, maybe it'll help them. Maybe it'll help them just like let go of the things that are, fucking their heads up, that they want to kill themselves.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah, because I mean, it's such a hard thing to get across of it being just an imbalance in you, in you chemically or mentally or whatever the case is. Because that's what controls you. So I mean, if what is controlling you is corrupted and is a problem, then that's going to dictate everything that happens in your life. So I mean, that's interesting. But yeah, it's definitely sad to see a lot of these things and these statistics and things like that. We didn't even get into a lot of the stuff involving like the younger generation when it comes to, I know we kind of touched on it on our first episode, talking about like social media and the effects that has on people, especially younger people, and bullying and kids that are taking their lives over things. And that is a huge issue of just talking to somebody. Like, just get out there and talk with somebody. I'm talking the serious issues of people that, not saying that's not a serious issue, because bullying and things like that are a serious issue, but these kids are too young to even know how to do this shit, and they are, and it's scary that they can even think and fathom ideas in their head to be able to take their own lives when they're so young. It just blows my mind. But it's definitely sad. It's a definitely deep topic, but it's definitely something to talk about and to get out there, because it is a huge epidemic in our country and in the world.
Yeah, it's only getting worse.
And it's only getting worse, unfortunately. So hopefully people can, things can come up that people can get assistance and people can get help and people can realize, even on your worst day, there are people that love you and there are people that care for you and that want you to get better. Because, I mean, I am nowhere near the extent of people that have serious issues. I have a very minor issue that I'm dealing with myself, but I know that everything around me is so much worth living for than it is giving any of that up. And you just need to find, your true passion in life, your true thing that makes you, and that makes you realize that, hey, I live for this or I live for that or whatever, because everybody does. Everybody has something like that.
Right.
It's just getting across the idea that, this is worth everything to me, and not taking any of that aside and making it seem like it's secondary, because it's not secondary. That should be your focus. It shouldn't be what's happening to you. You can find a way to try and help cope with it. It may never completely go away.
Yeah.
You're probably, if there's serious issues and things like that, you're going to deal with it for a very long time, if not the rest of your life. But it's finding ways to, advance and baby steps and making things better each and every day, and waking up with a positive mental attitude, and which is something I focus on every day, is trying to wake up with that positive mental attitude and finding the best of each day, and realizing that I'm coming home to a loving wife and friends and family and things that, and everybody that love me so much and that I love them so much. So finding that for everybody is the true key and the true element, which is everything around you that you love so much. I think that's what you have to focus on, and that's a huge key thing there for sure. But yeah, until next week, this is going to wrap up our edition of the Dead Pulse Theory. We had a wide range of things and emotions and topics that we covered here, so I feel like we had a very eventful video, Mr. Jarvis. I feel like we covered a lot of good topics.
Mr. Jman?
Mr. Jman. Gonna go take my kids to the grocery store and let them cry and bitch and moan until they get their Snickers now, because I know it pisses you off. I'm gonna fart on your sandwich. I'm going to
You're just
leave
taking everything
toothpaste.
to the extreme.
I'm going to leave toothpaste in your sink. I'm going to actually just
The literal extreme.
drizzle it all over your sink.
I was going to say, I saw a funny little, not really a funny study, because it's really not funny. It's actually kind of crazy. But the more like technologically advanced we're becoming as a civilization,
Yeah.
and how we're able to, world hunger has dropped and people are having homes and they got clean water, and it's better now than it was literally 10 years ago. Something like 95% of the world has clean water now. And
Wow.
And, they have food and places to live and stuff like that. We're getting better in that aspect, but and everything is better as a civilization, as the world.
Uh-huh.
But as human beings, in our brains, we're just becoming more fucked up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it has to do with technology or just how we are being raised.
Definitely has a part of it.
I don't know.
Sure. So I think it's a definite mixture of a lot of things.
Too many distractions for parents and them not paying attention and taking care of their children. I think that's part of the issue with suicide. That to me is, I think
That's true.
And we talked about it before with one of the other videos, where I think parenting and taking care of your kids is one of the
Understanding
major
your
issues.
kids. Yeah, understanding them
and just being there,
and talking to them.
not neglecting
And being
them.
honest with them, because I think that is a big thing. Not to dive back into a whole bunch of shit, but it is a big thing to be, because it was a problem with me when I was younger, is just being honest sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, not honest hey, I did this wrong or whatever, but just speaking your true opinions out, because you just don't really know what they're going to say. You don't know if they're going to be mad or happy or upset or whatever the case is. Just feel free and let your kids... I'm not trying to tell everybody how to fucking parent, but I would just say that, what we're going to do and my wife are going to do is the fact that we're going to let there be an open discussion and, leave everything out there. If you did something bad, let us know, because we'll treat it for how it is, but don't keep things from us, because when you start to keep things from us, it starts to fester that they can just keep everything from you.
Right.
And then it starts to get in their mind, and then that's where the problems start coming in, where everything is kept internally and they're too scared or embarrassed or whatever it is to let those things be known.
Yeah.
You have to let that shit be known, because it'll fester and it'll get to you for sure. But yeah, we're done talking now. Did you finish this off?
I did.
It didn't kill you. That's good.
I didn't die. I almost did.
You almost did. We almost had to revive you on air. On air revival.
Raw and uncut. Dead Pulse Theory.
Jarvis dead pulses some Red Bull. Dead pulse by Red Bull.
This is how you know that we one take everything.
Because we don't know how to end a video.
Right. Because we could have just been like, all right, we're halfway through the video. You choked on that Red Bull. We got to start over. Nope.
No, dude, I was going to let you suffer.
Nice.
No, I was legit. I was doing one of these. I was doing one of the mom in front of a car seat type deal.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing one of those, but I was just like, you gonna die on me?
Pet peeve, dude.
You gonna die on me?
It's a pet peeve.
Pet peeve. Don't fucking put your goddamn
Don't put your hand in front
Don't
of me.
put your hand in front of me,
If
mother.
I want to die, I'm going to die, bro. If I want
That shit is not gonna do anything.
to headbutt windshield, I'll do it.
If I want a shotgun helmet this shit, I'm going out in style.
Shotgun helmet.
Jesus.
Damn.
Yeah, so this will now wrap up this edition of the Dead Pulse Theory. Be sure to comment and like and subscribe and do all that fun shit. We put out new videos every Wednesday, so be on the lookout for all of that. And be sure to check out all our other videos and a whole bunch of fun shit that we've talked about before. Hopefully we're not going to run out of fucking ideas. If you guys have anything you guys want us to talk about or dive into, be sure to leave that down.
If you're one of the 12 people that
have
watched our videos.
The 22 people that have watched our fucking videos. We'll get there, guys. We're making it out there. Spread the word, DPT.
Put a topic in the comments.
Put a topic in the comments. Put a comment in the topics. Put that shit down there. If you guys want us to hit up something, we'll probably get to it because sometimes we're strapped for ideas. We're like, hey, shit, what do we want to talk about? Birds? Sure, I don't care. Whatever.
We're vague.
We're vague. We're right. We're going to talk about that. Sure, go off. But yeah, be sure to leave your...
This is a topic. What's the worst bird?
What is your opinion on the bird society of the world? Yeah, so I mean, just do that shit down in the comments. Let us know your thoughts and prayers. Let us know your thoughts and give us any ideas if you guys want us to talk about some shit. For sure. But until next time, this will wrap up an edition of the Dead Pulse Theory from partner Jarvis. I am Jman, and we'll see you guys next week.